pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dearest Heavenly Father, creator of all that was, is, and will be, we come before you with humble, contrite hearts, knowing we have offended you. We have removed you from our public and private place, squandered your gifts, and broken your laws of love. Uniting our hearts in a voice, we ask for your mercy and forgiveness. Almighty Father, renew your trust in your Son, Jesus. Guide us to restore his image to our country and our love and respect for each other. Instill in us your holy word. Open your hearts to permit your divine will to direct us in every thought, word, and deed. In you we trust, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Strengthen us in your lid to pledge one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Very brief comments this morning. If you've seen a farmer, you can tell it's a farmer because they have a big smile on their face. We right away. The rain was appreciated, and so we thank the Lord for that, and we would even ask for a little more when he.
Don't forget the happy dance.
Yeah.
So let's see one.
Oh, and you are on video.
Hey, proud of it too.
Anyway, and he is a commissioner.
For which county though?
Okay, before we adopt an agenda, we need to add one item. So the health department has a grant. So right after Colleen's health department update, would you pencil in a board, we need to go to become a board of health and then consider a grant application. So if we have that, then I would accept a motion for the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Now the consent agenda. Accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Again, a motion and a second. And without discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That also carries. It is public comment time, and this is a time for those items not on the agenda. Before I call on the public that's in the auditorium here today, I believe Dory has some public comment from some people by email.
I believe we may want to hear that, since it's regarding fireworks, we may want to hear that during the fireworks item.
Okay, it's not, okay,
Yes.
we can do that. So then, with that said, anybody have something to share or a concern or a question about anything not on the agenda? If not, we will move right along, and we have a new face at our table today, and we welcome her, and I'm going to let our county administrator actually formally introduce you, Linda, so then we'll take some action concerning you.
Yes, we have a full table up here this meeting. Linda Lovemyer is joining us. She will be our new county councilor with your approval, formal appointment. And I'll go ahead and I'll allow Linda to go ahead and talk a little bit about her background and experience.
Sure.
The floor is yours, Linda.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Linda Lovemyer. I'm a native of Finney County. I grew up in the Pine Mill area on a farm. I went to Kansas State University, got an English degree and an agronomy minor, which is a long story. But I also got my JD degree from Washburn in the year 2000. I've worked for Kansas Legal Services. I served as an assistant county attorney for almost 10 years here in Finney County. I went into private practice, golly, in 2014, I believe. I worked at Boar's Law for a couple of years, and then I moved over to Callahan Law Firm, where I am currently a partner. Worked briefly for the county when Tom Burgart had some health issues, so a little bit of experience here, but looking forward to serving the people of Finney County and this board.
We welcome you aboard.
Thank you.
Any comments before we entertain a motion to get into the record that Linda is our new county council? Then I would accept a motion to name her county council.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we appoint Linda Lovemyer as our county council.
Okay, good enough. Second?
Clifford seconds.
We have a motion second. I'm not gonna ask for discussion because they didn't want to talk, so we're just gonna vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, you are officially hired. That was quite an interview process, wasn't it? The next thing up, I see something about extension district updates. And we have a new face also in the audience, so if you come forward, please, to the podium and introduce yourself, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Janet Harkness. I know it'll say Janet Fromm on all of your materials. The business cards were printed before we got married. So I have come to Southwest Kansas from upstate New York, 1,500 miles away, and I began January 11th. I do have an extensive background in 4-H education. I was an educator in New York State for 15 years, coordinating a county program, and also working on the state and national level with 4-H. I'm very excited to be here in Finney and Scott County, and I look forward to working with all of you. If you have any ideas for programming or want updates, I can get those to you monthly. My background is in agriculture, specifically dairy farming, so a little bit of a change because there's more beef than dairy, obviously, but I am very excited to learn about the different agriculture opportunities here, and also to work with after-school programs, which I am starting next week. And I just look forward to meeting and visiting with everyone in Southwest Kansas. And if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to entertain them.
We welcome you. If I could be so nosy as to inquire, where in upstate New York?
So I grew up along Lake Ontario between Rochester and Syracuse, but for the past 15 years I've been in the southern tier, approximately an hour from Syracuse and an hour from Binghamton, so right in the middle of New York State. And
So you're in the country where it still snows.
still snows.
Okay.
We received, the week before Christmas, we received 36 inches in 12 hours. So receiving moisture out here is a little bit different, especially since I live on a lot of back roads in the Dry Lakes area, so definitely 4-wheel drive.
Now you can understand happy dance.
Yes, you can understand the happy dance very, very much. So I am very excited to be here, and we have a great team of agents with Extension, and we look forward to serving the residents of Finney County. So thank you very much.
You want to have a comment or question? Go ahead, Lon.
Yeah, comments and questions. First of all, welcome.
Thank
Glad
you.
to have you in the Midwest. And I don't know if it's you or Jennifer that wants to address this, but for the people who are watching online and to help refresh our memory, I would like to have you just go through a little bit about the Extension Council and how it covers Finney and Scott and who the agents are and how many agents, and just a little bit more verbally about the Extension Council, because there really hasn't been much discussion about it since the time that we formally authorized it.
All right. Jennifer, do you want to come up and...
Welcome, Jennifer.
I mean, I can answer some questions, but I'm not going to answer all of them.
Well, that's why I mentioned Jennifer.
Yeah.
I knew both of you might need to chime in.
Sure.
Well, you know that in July 1st of 2019, we formed the district. So we've been in a district for almost a year now, and we hired 3 new agents. Our first one was hired in October, then we hired the horticulture in November, then Janet joined us in January. And we are serving both Scott and Finney County. With the district, we can specialize. And so my specialization is nutrition and wellness. The fax agent in Scott County is aging, and she's also our district director. So she spends a lot of time doing the district, directing things, which encounters a lot of time. And then we have our ag and natural resources, and then of course our horticulture agent. And we have a board of 8 members, and 4 from Scott and 4 from Finney, and they were selected by the county commissioners, and then now they will go up for election when their term ends. Did that answer your
No,
question?
no, I appreciate that, and I coffee with one of your board members, and
Yeah.
he is very complimentary of how the district is working and how the board members are working together, and so it's been very, very positive from his feedback, so, but I just thought we need to have a recap.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and we, Janet's been all of us have been really gung-ho, and I think you're gonna see a lot of great programming coming out of the district.
And maybe you said it and I was not listening at that point, confession time, I guess.
That's okay.
But are you looking to hire other agents? In the
Not at
near
this
future?
time. We hired 3 agents in a close amount of time, which it was a lot of time. And we really want to kind of watch our budget before we end up hiring any program assistants or anything like that. So,
That's why.
yeah, we need to see how the budget works this year and then go from there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
But Janet, I see your office down in Scott City, is that correct?
Primarily, but I am down in Finney County at least 1 or 2 days a week. And as programming progresses and I make contacts and I get scheduled and stuff, I will definitely be down here more.
Our horticulture and ag agent, they are, and me, our home office is Finney County.
Evening, Bill?
Yeah, welcome to Janet. I'm actually a native of Queens, New York, and my wife's family is from Canton and Malone, way up on the Canadian border, dairy people. So welcome. Do we anticipate the 4-H fair going as of old this year?
To
Any
my
thoughts?
knowledge, yes. There is a fair board meeting next week that we plan to attend, so I think we'll hear more of what they have planned at that meeting.
Thank you.
We're keeping our fingers crossed, but I know the kids are wanting a traditional fair, so. We do get to go to camp this summer.
Go Rock Springs?
Yes,
and,
and Camp Lakeside. Because last summer we did get to go.
I have one more question, and you don't have to answer, but I wonder what your thoughts are of Governor Cuomo.
It's one of the reasons why I'm in Southwest Kansas.
There you go.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought some rain from New York. You can keep the snow. We don't,
Well, we're supposed to get that Wednesday, I believe,
Yeah,
so,
feed yards don't like snow.
no.
Rain we can deal with.
I think
Welcome.
she's experienced every weather so far in Kansas. The wind, the frigid temperatures, the snow.
Jennifer, before you folks sit back down, I have one quick question. May not be an answer to it, but at the time the district was formed, there was some casual discussion with a 3rd county. Has that ever materialized any more than just casual?
Yes, the board talked about that and they voted to wait till 2022 to even look into that. They wanted us to get accustomed to being a district, seeing how the budget works and seeing how everything works before we added another county.
Okay.
So they're not even going to address that till 2022.
All right. So,
Remind me, who's all the representatives for Finney County?
Steve Michaels, but he told us last month that he is not going to run. He and Bill McNeil were the 2-term, and so Steve told us he wasn't going to run. He's got a lot of things going on, and his primary thing was to get us into a district, and he feels like that is going well, so he's got other things going on, so he decided not to run again. And then Jennifer Gerber is the 4 years, yeah. And the Scott County is Clint Pearson, Ann Lampy, Jeanette Storm, and Kevin Dennison. And I think I can't remember who's 2 year, but I think they're all gonna run again.
Okay, any other questions or comments, discussion? Ladies, we thank you for your time and for your hard work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity and be watching for our programs. Maybe you'll want to take one.
We need to get a cowboy hat though in order to fit in Kansas.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you. You all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.
I see on my agenda it is sport time, and so let's see if we have we see Dory up there, yeah. There is Jeff, off there. Morning, Jeff, were you there?
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Well, barely. Speak right up, and you have a report for us, so.
Yes, sir, we do. We, couple things real quick for you. So first, the county-run household emergency relief program, we've done really well. I think it's a kudos to the CBB staff. So far to date, we've been able to make 61 awards with 1 denial. We've distributed $192,000 worth of funds out of the $250,000 that you allocated for it. The average award is running about $3,150. There are 18 pending applications. Using those 18 kind of pending, we estimate that you have about $56,600 in estimated need, and your estimated funds remaining are just shy of $58,000. So we recommend that you close out the program while we finalize those pieces. This way everybody's got the chance to put their awards in, or you put their grants in, and goes from there.
You want us to take action on that part right now?
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman, that's why I paused. So I don't really know.
I don't mean to interrupt, but Bill, Commissioner Clifford and I were, along with our staff, were with you Thursday in a Zoom meeting, and it was our recommendation. I think the money's about gone to close it up. So, but we need the action of our board to approve that. So we can do that by consensus or by motion.
Good. I'll move to close the household emergency relief program.
Second.
Motion and a second. Hang on just a minute, Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Discussion, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a point
Sure.
of discussion. Unbelievably, the CARES Act statewide rental assistance program initiates today. So I think it's very good timing. It's stunning that the federal government has created another program when they haven't even spent the last one. But just so the citizens are aware, they can apply for rental assistance and utility assistance to the state as of today. And I think we are going to provide some level of assistance on that. At least I understood that.
Roxanne was going to try to help them.
Correct. So if citizens can't understand what the state has to offer, they should contact the county,
But that's
even though
only,
we're closing.
that's only for rental assistance, not for more
Yeah.
assistance.
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, that's exactly the point. That is only for rental assistance. And it's the Kansas Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or KERA, K-E-R-A. Going up on their website this morning, actually just right now while we're talking, I just refreshed the page, and just for everybody's awareness, it says coming March 15th. The program has not gone live yet on their website, but it should be going live today.
Okay. All right, Jeff, we by motion have agreed to close the household grant.
I cut off your vote, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
No, that's correct. We need to vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, now it's closed. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's closed up. We're gonna finalize, Julianne and the staff are finalizing the rest of the grant applications, and we should be able to make those awards Thursday, correct, Julianne?
We'll go through the same process as before, and Dory, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that the next opportunity that we will have to work within the county schedule to write checks to complete the process will be on the 5th, the first Monday of April.
That's correct, we would expect to do all of the pending payments on April 5th.
So we'll stick to our same workflow there, so within the next 2 weeks, we will complete all processing, have a word letter signed and ready to go for checks on the 5th of April.
So we need to take no further action today.
There's no further action. You've already authorized Robert and Dory to make the decision, and we're just going to spend down the rest of the funds remaining, and we'll close the program out, and we'll report back to you. Okay. And just one last thing I'll leave you with, just for your update, is as Commissioner Clifford alluded to, the America's Rescue Plan did pass. And was signed by the President this past Thursday. According to the National League of Cities, the preliminary estimates of funding that could be coming to Finney County include just over $7 million on the county level, and Garden City is slated to receive $3.7 million. There was nothing listed for Holcomb. I couldn't find anything, but just for your awareness there, and then the state will also be receiving money, and in talking with the Recovery Office last week, they do anticipate running a number of statewide programs as well.
Okay, the state's supposed to get $2.5 billion.
Yeah, with a B.
With a B.
Yeah, that's correct.
There's a B on the state level, that these, on the local level, it's only an M.
Yeah. Go figure.
All right. Before you go away, Jeff and Julianne, Robert, do you have anything to add here to the conversation?
We did get a brief update from our connectivity grant. Did have a few email transpires between us. They're still working that process. So remember that the county's in line for somewhere around 911,000, if I remember correctly, on the reimbursement for our fiber project. And so we're keeping on top of that as well.
We've paid the bill, but that's reimbursement, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And I don't see behind it, what, is Roxanne in the room today?
I don't believe she is today.
She's listening online, Mr. Chairman. I have Facebook here, and she's commenting. And
See if Roxanne has anything to add here before we go to the next topic.
her comment was that she wanted to thank Julian and Liz for helping and heading this up. And I appreciate Jeff's work with us.
I also appreciate Jeff and Julianne and their hard work. So, anything else, commissioners? If not, Jeff, anything else from you folks?
Just hope you have a great week, commissioners.
Have a good day, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye. We don't have health department folks here yet, do we?
Doesn't look like it.
Well, we can alter our agenda a little bit. The next thing I see up is revisit extension of Families First, the Relief Act, and Kelly. So come forward, please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
If you'll recall, the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, or FFCRA, expired by its own terms December 31st of 2020. At the January 4th Commission meeting, you revisited on the consent agenda the FFCRA's emergency paid sick leave and made a motion to approve the recommendation of extending the 80 hours of emergency paid sick leave for COVID-19 related absences until March 31st, 2021. Today in front of you, you should see two new options in my recommendation moving forward. Option 1 is to expire the 80 hours of paid leave on March 31st, 2020, and all leave moving forward will be paid by the employee's own accrued time. Option 2 is to extend the 80 hours of leave from April 1st through June 30th. However, over the weekend, I received a legislative update that is not reflected in your packet. Just last Thursday, March 11th, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, also known as ARPA. The ARPA does not require employers to provide paid leave. However, had this information been available prior to submitting my agenda item, option 2 would have read a little differently. Should option 2, the 80 hours of paid leave, be extended, the following additional changes need to now be considered. The 80 hours would be reset for all employees, meaning anyone who had used the 80 hours prior would get an additional 80 hours of paid leave. Second, the extended time frame would be from April 1st through September 30th and not June 30th. And third, we would be required to allow, in addition to COVID-19 related illness absences, employees paid time off to receive the COVID-19 vaccine and to be paid if they had a reaction, illness, or injury caused by the COVID-19 vaccine. With this new information and based off my administration of COVID leave with our employees, my recommendation of expiring the leave effective 4/1 moving forward does not change, and for the following reasons. We have seen a significant decrease in the number of COVID requested absences. In February, we had 9 employees request emergency paid sick leave, with only 1 of the 9 actually testing positive. The other 8 employees had symptoms that were suspicious of a COVID-19 illness, but ultimately tested negative and returned to work. Vaccinations have been available to all county employees since February 15th and to law enforcement from about the beginning of the year. As far as illnesses from the vaccine, I have personally been informed of only 2 employees, each taking 1 day off after their 2nd dose of vaccine for a slight illness. I'm happy to now answer any questions or participate in any discussion to assist you in your decision-making moving forward.
Okay, commissioners? Any questions?
Pretty self-explanatory.
Well, Mr. Chairman, first of all, I really appreciate the thoroughness and how up-to-date you are with the stuff over the weekend. I very much appreciate that. And just a global comment, I hope that all of our presentations will follow this example. And I'm ready to make a motion for option 1, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm ready to hear your motion.
Mr. Chairman, then I would move that we approve option 1, which is the expiration of EPSL effective April 1st of this year.
Okay, there is a second?
I'll second.
Dwayne second, Commissioner Grease seconded. Any discussion? Then if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good job, Kelly.
Thank you.
So,
Have a good day.
all right, thank you. We still don't have anyone from the health department. Are they, she's gonna be here today, though, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right.
Yes,
Well, we'll then take up the fireworks.
yes.
So, before we ask for participation from some interested folks in the audience, I'm going to ask our county clerk to please read the emails that we have regarding fireworks.
Okay, thank you. The first comes from Shelby Moss of Garden City. I have recently heard that there will be a meeting Monday to discuss fireworks regulations. Personally, I love America. My mom is a Marine veteran, my uncle and grandma are Army veterans, and my grandpa was a World War II Army medic. We love and respect our nation's heroes and believe they should be honored every day. With that being said, I don't think that fireworks need to be shot off for a week straight. In all honesty, so many of the veterans that we honor are traumatized by the sounds of the explosion. It couldn't be any more disrespectful to them, which I find so heartbreaking. Not only is the excessive length of the fireworks disrespectful to our veterans, but I also find it disrespectful to parents. I myself have 2 very young toddlers. The week of shooting off the fireworks is so exhausting for us because the kids are constantly being woken up by the loud fireworks. I 110% support celebrating our freedom, and with that, I also support shortening the days that fireworks can be discharged.
Okay, that's number 1 at 5.
The second comes from Karen Ham of Garden City. It is my understanding that you're going to discuss an ordinance for the sale of fireworks at your meeting Monday. According to what I have read, the days for sales of fireworks or for shooting them off would be from July 1st to July 5th, 2021 until 11 p.m. 5 days of sales and shooting off fireworks is plenty of time. It sounds like a war zone in the city, and the smell of gunpowder permeates the air. Many people have animals that are frightened of the explosions, including us. They will not go outside at all during the time they are being shot off. Additionally, I am sure there are several veterans who may possibly have PTSD, and the explosions bother them as well as elderly citizens. I respectfully ask that this ordinance be approved for the sale and shooting off of fireworks this summer. Thank you. The third comes from Miranda Hagen-Smith of Garden City. To whom it may concern, I absolutely agree with the change to shorten the allotted amount of days for fireworks to be discharged and sold. As a mother of a toddler and infant, plus owning 2 dogs, the week leading up to July 4th, plus the extra days after, are a complete nightmare. I am an RN who has to get up at 5 a.m. each morning for work, which makes it even harder. I can only imagine the impact it makes on other people, families, pets, and veterans suffering from PTSD. Please consider shortening this time. It is absolutely unnecessary for fireworks to be discharged for over a week. The next comes from Isela Hall of Garden City. I would like to voice my opinion that the fireworks length should only be a couple of days, less than 5. I think we should be more respectful of seniors, people with disabilities, people with PTSD, and dog owners. Let's put people's well-being before profit. And the final comes from Dana Jones of Garden City. Thank you for considering a new ordinance limiting the window for purchasing and discharging fireworks in Finney County to July 1st through July 5th. Pet lovers, veterans, and old folks hope you will adopt this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dory. Okay. We have some participants in the audience, I believe, right?
Yes.
Marilyn, I see you there.
Yes, you want me to come up?
Come on up, please, and officially introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Marilyn Porter, and I'm a resident here of Garden City in Finney County. And I actually do have 2 colleagues, I would say. They're entrepreneurs also in Finney County. So I'm here today as a local entrepreneur who's decided to invest in the fireworks industry. And I do want to start off by saying, obviously, my initial entry into the fireworks industry wasn't in any way to be disrespectful or to scare or do anything like that, because I definitely don't want to do that. Actually, our first year in fireworks 2 years ago, I actually called and invited the Humane Society to come up while we were selling and give out information to people buying fireworks, to give them best practices for their pets and things like that, and they actually declined. They said that I thought, are you crazy, because we'll actually affect your sales? And I said, actually, I'm not. I have pets myself, so I encourage you to do that. And as entrepreneurs, I think we all want to be very good partners with our local governing bodies, the county and the city. So today I have a couple of other vendors who also have gone in as business entrepreneurs. Some of us use the money to subsidize our annual income. Some of us use the monies to give back to charities. Last year ourselves, we were able to give back $800 to Kansas Honor Flight to send a veteran. So a lot of us try to do a lot of good with what we're doing. Unfortunately, more of us couldn't be here because I myself didn't receive a phone call until about 4 o'clock on Friday, letting me know that this was even on the slate of today's agenda. So us getting the word out to get more support just didn't give us time to do that. But we definitely wanted to come and ask a couple of questions today, and one specifically is, can you let us know specifically the reasoning for the shortening of the windows? So, as entrepreneurs, we want to partner, and so if there's a way that we can contribute and be beneficial in doing that, we definitely want to do that. And then secondly, we definitely want to ask that if you do find it necessary to pass this, that you would consider making this effective for 2022. Although from a consumer standpoint, the fireworks season hasn't even gotten here, as entrepreneurs, many of us have already made substantial investments in the fireworks industry for this coming season, just because of the COVID-19 impact on China and exports and production. So a lot of us have made inventory purchases based on the dates that we had always known to be in effect. So I definitely want to put that on the agenda to say, please consider that from a business aspect. The other part of that is also, as a business, we contribute sales tax dollars that come back to the county. So I know that there are times when there are county departments, who are looking for extra funding or potentially pleading their case to you for the extra $30,000 to $50,000 for their annual budget. And our sales tax dollars come back and support our community too. So we just ask that that be considered as well. And right now I want to introduce Chris Martinez. He's also an entrepreneur who's locally in the fireworks industry. And we also have Jennifer Johnston here today too. I don't know if she wants to speak, but I at least wanted to identify them. And is it okay if Chris comes up and makes a comment?
They're most welcome. If they have a different view than you, and if it's kind of the same, well,
okay.
Let us know. There's
Okay.
no reason to repeat our information.
Yes,
But-
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi,
Would you mind identifying yourself for the record, please?
my name is Chris Martinez, local citizen of Garden City for quite some time as well, born and raised here. Not really political savvy, just so you're aware, so this is kind of my first thing doing this. But definitely want to, recite or coincide with the remarks that Rowan just made, above all, is no intentions to be disrespectful. Our intent is, as entrepreneurs, is to go out and, give back to the community as well, but also, create a business. And as far as what's been put in place as a proposal, it seems that if our community isn't purchasing fireworks from here, they will go outside of the community to purchase them. Not trying to throw myself underneath the bus, but as a youth, I remember the year where they didn't have fireworks sales here. I literally drove up to Deerfield or Lakin and put my money into their economy, and I still came here and popped them until I got caught. So I mean, on the downside of things, people will go outside of the community and purchase them, and they will pop them until they get caught with a warning. So I'm not trying to influence, by any means by saying, this is what's going to occur, what's going to happen. But that is something to also consider is, by shortening the window, we will be losing less sales tax dollars here that go into our community to, help elevate our local economy and keep it, flourishing. And that's part of what we want to, engage in and be a part of the community and participate in helping organizations generate some type of fundraising abilities to help, develop our youth and, keep programs going on for them that they already are struggling to find out, how we're going to finance sending these kids to youth groups, youth camp, or how we're going to do, whatever means is to help our youth to, be successful. So those are some of the things that, are going to be severely impacted, in regard to, shortening the sales season. I'm very aware of, the impact of PSTV and how it does impact, the veterans and so forth. No disrespect intended, by all means being able to gain insight, input, and definitely trying to, create a course of action that, is substantial for both sides, not just a one-sided affair, is generally, what should be brought forth instead of let's just wipe it out, partially or, entirely. So, some collaboration would definitely go a long way and, benefit both sides of the fence, not just, a one-sided affair. So I just wanted to take the time and say thank you guys for, listening to us and hearing our side of it. And you guys have any questions?
Okay, appreciate your passion and your remarks. And we may have some questions for you here as we.
I wanted to actually say one more thing. Chris was actually so good as to spend some time this weekend in doing the research and putting together a petition to keep the ordinance in place as it is today. But again, as entrepreneurs, we want to be good partners. So, you know, if there are ways for us to make adjustments and things like that to make it easier on community in both respects, the people who want to celebrate and those who don't want the noise and things like that, we want to be good partners and do that. I also wanted to voice that some of the other entrepreneurs that I did talk to, they also voiced the fact that collaborating with us, like Chris said, would be great. They actually said, give us another day of selling on the front end and let's end it on the 4th if you want to shorten the window. So there are other ideas that we'd also like to pose to you to say, if you want to, you know, say it's 5 days, then work with us on those adjustments.
I'm going to respectfully say we've heard about every side of this argument you could hear. The reason that the 5th is important to some people in Maryland, they tell us, the vendors, is that gives you a chance to liquidate inventory.
I've never opened on the 5th. I think there are other vendors here that have never. We're tired. By the 4th of July, we are exhausted. And my husband has RA. You know, like I said, we've done it mainly as a fundraiser, and I have my nieces come in and help, and it gives them money for college. And by the 4th of July, we close down by dusk, and we're ready to go home and kick it, and we don't open. So, I mean.
And some of us in our neighborhood listening to all that commotion late at night are ready to give that up about the 27th of June too. So anyway, yeah. I understand where you're coming from. However, I'm going to tell you that I believe if we put this to a popular vote, you would be outvoted by the citizens. Everybody that has contacted me, and that's not a large number, but every one of them said, please adopt the July sales, July 1 through the 5th. And some of them were in favor of shortening that up. So,
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. There's definitely viewpoint and perspective on both sides. I think from our perspective, it's become a challenge that most of us not keeping up with the minutes and the agendas on there had no idea that this was coming up. Like so, I mean, if I had not gotten a call at 4 o'clock Friday, I would not have known that this was on the agenda today.
In fact, Commissioner Pishna, he wanted all the vendors.
I think that, and I do appreciate that, because I was surprised by it, but it was a very considerate call that was made. So.
Anybody else in the audience? If you will remain so we can have you available for questions, okay. Turn it over to the commissioners. All right.
Question for you, Marilyn. The liability insurance goes from $100,000 to $500,000. How big of an expense is that to you?
That's going to add a few $100s to my insurance, but that's, I mean, for me that's just a standard. Some of the big wholesale distribution companies like Spirit of 76, they offer insurance programs. So if you actually use them as a wholesaler, or there's Jake's, they offer an insurance program. So it can become affordable if you go with an independent insurance agency. It can be quite costly. My first year I spent over $800 in insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marlon. Anything else, Larry? Bill?
Yes, I think we're here to regulate sort of behavior, nuisance, safety hazard. I have difficulty regulating commerce. To me, this is akin on limiting buying Christmas presents to the week before Christmas. Are we going to be here not allowing gun sales at some point because people shoot them off? So I have difficulty with the sales restriction. I do think people need some time to buy these things, and although personally I object, certainly as an eye surgeon, I see the consequences of firework use. I have difficulty with the limit on sale, but I certainly am in favor of the 1 through 5 explosion events. I would recommend personally, and I'm not moving anything right now, just for purpose of discussion, to transition this for the benefit of the of commerce to Friday, June 25th, which would add 6 days prior to the July 1st sales period, but again to limit the use of these fireworks to the July timeframe.
And of course, we're not setting the period of time that they fire the fireworks. That's, the two cities do that. Ours is strictly on sales, is it not?
Not as I read the ordinance.
I understand the ordinance, but really, I mean, the meat of the problem from the vendor standpoint is when are we gonna allow the sales? So.
True, and I'm talking about paragraph G that does limit the sales July 1st.
Wayne, did you have a comment?
I can definitely appreciate Commissioner, your opinions on the sales. I probably could lean that way myself. Again, most of the comments from my wife is the popping of the fireworks displays, and so I'm probably pretty much consistent with the ordinance, proposed ordinance of the 1st and 5th on the fireworks displays, but I could be persuaded to change the purchase dates for the vendors.
Okay, that's it for now?
For now.
Okay, Lon?
Well, Mr. Chairman, first of all, I've received some of those emails and some of the comments with regard to limiting the time of discharge. And I understand and respect the reasoning for that. However, the majority of the people that I've crudely measured and polled have said, you guys have much more important things to be talking about than fireworks. And so a lot of them out there who have commented to me could care less one way or the other. I was, but to get into specifically to the point, I appreciate what Marilyn just suggested, that move the sale date 1 day forward and cancel out July 5th as a sale date, and what we do with the discharge, if it lines up with that. I don't see any reason for discharge or sales to go after July 4th, and I think I've even stated that in a previous meeting, joint meeting or one of our meetings. But I thought I was told at one time that there was some state authorization or something about the July 5th date. But if there is not, my favor would be to go from June 30 to July 4th, both for sales and discharge. Because we're celebrating July 4th, because we're not just celebrating July 5th. And we just heard a vendor who said, we're not even open on July 5th. But I'm concerned about extending the sale dates, although I very much respect commerce and all of that. I respect they've ordered inventory. I'm concerned that as soon as the sales start, then the discharges start. So I also respect the fact that they go to Kearney County, they go online to buy fireworks and so forth. They're going to get fireworks in other ways anyhow. But instead of having, and these are just wild numbers, instead of having 10 people buy on the 30th, maybe you have 50 people buying on the 30th because they couldn't buy 2 or 3 days ahead of that. So I would be in favor of discontinuing July 5th as our end date for either of them and move it forward to June 30 so we have the same number of dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comment. I appreciate all of your comments on the, but if you, but if you purchase them, you're going to set them off that when you purchase them.
That's why.
Tell them you can't wait 2 or 3 days. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
People just won't do that. But I I think I'm in favor of just doing it the way it's presented to us today, and let's see how it works this year, and then we can readdress it if you so desire next year.
Any further discussion before we?
Yeah, again, I don't care if we sell fireworks year-round, personally. I just think if there's someone setting up fireworks anytime besides 1 through 5, they're obviously in violation of law. It's pretty obvious. So to me, I know it's a challenge for the sheriff and the fire chief, but there's certainly a reason to censure anyone setting off fireworks out of that interval. Again, I'm just not here to regulate commerce, just for us citizens to have a compact on behavior for everyone's benefit.
I'll make one comment, and we're gonna call for a motion. The 27th of June through the 5th of July in state law is an allowance period.
Oh,
And so, and that's been in statute for a long time.
okay.
One thing that's not been commented upon, and that's internet sales. So if, you know, you can buy them off the internet year round. And I'm assuming they'll ship them right to your door. So that said, no matter what way we go, we're gonna have some people less than happy with our decision, but we've been asked by some to make a decision, so I'm gonna call for a motion.
Chairman, before your motion, I'd like to amend this ordinance. See what our number is, 03/2021, paragraph G, to state that sales would be allowed, sales only, June 27th, 2021 through July 5th, 2021.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a second, any discussion?
And again, I was not familiar with the state statute. Is that correct? The 27th would fit within the state statute?
I tend to agree with Commissioner Larry Jones that if they're sold on the 27th, they're gonna be set off on the 27th, so. I'll probably vote against your motion, but any other discussion? If not, then all those in favor of the motion to amend our proposed resolution to allow sales starting on June 27th and in July 5. All those in favor of that say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
That motion carried 3-2. So, decided for this year.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the amended then resolution 03/2021.
I believe we wanted this to go to legal counsel and pass this at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's why we have Linda sitting here.
Just because we didn't have counsel on staff before and to review this resolution. It's been a number of years since it was first written, so we think that a review is prudent. We can get the changes made and then bring it before you on April 5th.
Okay,
I'll withdraw my motion.
we will look at this next meeting. So, that said, I see Health Department Director. Colleague, as you come this way, we're aware that we've amended the agenda to take up your grant request, and at that time we will recess as the county commission and reconfigure ourselves to the board of health. But please bring us up to date on what you're doing.
Awesome, thank you. Pulling up the presentation as well.
You're here.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the continuation of COVID-19 in Finney County. I'm excited to report progress in our overall numbers and provide an update regarding vaccination distribution in Finney County. The next slide. Thank you. The data I'm sharing with you on current case count is from end of day on Friday. We'll have an updated situation report at end of day today, so the numbers we're reviewing right now will be different from the end of day report. There are currently 20 active cases. We have 5,993 total positive cases, 10,668 total negative cases. 2 individuals are currently hospitalized at St. Catherine Hospital with COVID-19. 49 Finney County residents have passed away due to the virus. We're grateful for the work our community has done to slow the spread of COVID-19 and ask our residents to continue to play an active part in keeping our numbers low. Wear face masks in public spaces, wash your hands, often with soap and water, and at least 20 seconds, and regularly sanitize frequently used items. Take it to the next slide. Thank you. We are currently in phase 2 of the vaccination plan, and enrollment is currently open to several organizations or fields in Finney County. Some of the newly added vaccine eligibilities are agriculture and grocery stores. We opened those up last week. And then for this week, starting today, we open to Sunflower Electric, Wheatland Electric, and Black Hills Energy. And then we still have all of the other remaining eligible populations, as can all be found at our COVID hub page. We will announce the eligible populations as we navigate through the phases of the plan, and we'll continue to release this information via several communication methods, including our website, Facebook page, local news media, and radio. Phase 2 still has a broad range of eligible populations, and we're hoping to move through the phase quickly as we receive additional supply. To increase accessibility to our community, we have opened up walk-in times at the fairgrounds as of Monday of last week. We'll release these hours for the following week, typically on the Friday before, as it depends on inventory and staffing. We'll also be announcing soon walk-in availability for one Saturday a month, and evening walk-in times 1 day a week. Here, for example, after a 5 p.m. walk-in availability. We want to thank all of our residents for their patience as we work to vaccinate residents as quickly as our supply allows. There is a potential that we will add eligible populations at the end of this week to begin next week, depending upon registration interest from the public with current eligible populations and as vaccine supply allows. Thus far, we have received an overwhelming amount of support from our community as well as positive feedback on the process at the Finney County Fairgrounds. We want to thank the community for this support as well as our community partners in supporting and staffing this site. Currently on this graph, you'll see that our total number of vaccines administered so far, which includes second doses, and then the total number of Tyson vaccines. I'll update on Tyson vaccines here shortly. As of today, the mass vaccination clinic has given 8,421 COVID vaccines. Approximately 6,402 of those total are first doses. We anticipate to increase our vaccination numbers as we receive additional doses from the state and vaccinate individuals at the mass vaccination clinic. You can go ahead and start moving through there's some pictures. We've included some pictures of our current operations at fairgrounds and also some pictures of our on-site vaccination at Tyson last week. So here's fairgrounds operations, our supply area at fairgrounds. It's also our drawing station. We've set up a community resource table, so free sanitizer, information on healthcare services here in Finney County. This is the Tyson operation. So Tyson was last Thursday and Friday. As you can see there on the left, there's a couple of National Guard admin people that were doing our data entry. So this was the registration area where all the staff would come through. We'd sticker their cards, date all of their paperwork, and then push them through those 2 double doors to then go on to receive their vaccines. And then there's a lookout. It's their cafeteria area out there. These were the stations that were set up. On the left, that first station there, that was a draw-up supply station. So with Pfizer vaccine, which is what the state sent us to vaccinate Tyson, it has to be reconstituted, so there's a lot of logistics to work out with the reconstitution and then drawing up 6 doses per vial. Then there's 12, I'm sorry, can you go back? Thank you. Then there's 12 stations, and then you see a green tarp in the middle. In that middle station is a first aid, in case anybody had any anaphylactic reactions or felt lightheaded, dizzy, those types of things. And then this is the observation area. So they would cycle staff into observation, and then they would exit through that back door. All right. We vaccinated just over 1,500 Tyson employees last Thursday and Friday at the on-site vaccination clinic in collaboration with Tyson staff and support from the National Guard. We vaccinated 1,159 on Thursday and approximately 347 on Friday. This is not all-inclusive of all Tyson employees that have been vaccinated thus far. We have had over 250 Tyson employees who have come to our mass vaccination clinic at the fairgrounds. We will return to Tyson on April 1st and 2nd to provide second doses. So on this graphic, you see to increase accessibility for our patients, we're offering walk-in times in addition to appointments for vaccines at the Finney County Fairgrounds. Walk-in times are posted weekly depending upon supply and staffing. If residents prefer to have a scheduled time versus the walk-in time, we ask that those eligible for a vaccine navigate to the appointment link that can be found on our pinned post on Facebook or on our website at finneycounty.org/COVID hub. We're still looking for a scheduling platform to take the pressure off the phone lines. We have opened up 6 communication avenues for our residents to register at, or to register or contact us to register for vaccines. Next slide. We are incredibly grateful to our community, our county and community partners who have made the operation of this site possible. Thank you so much for the time and your continued support. I'm happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Good. Okay, starting off around the table.
Okay, Colleen.
Yes, sir.
Questions. What's your percentage of no-shows for your appointments?
Very minimal. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Pretty low, though.
But it's extremely low.
Good.
People are showing up.
Second question, are you offering all 3 types of vaccine or just Moderna?
So as of last week, so we did receive our Johnson & Johnson. The state prefers for you to use the Johnson & Johnson 1-dose vaccine for transient population, homeless shelter, very specific populations. So we're still working on defining exactly how we'll use the Johnson & Johnson, whether that will be offered open at walk-in clinic. Last Friday, we received specifically Pfizer to then dedicate to Tyson employees. So we're now headed into this week where we have now Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson, as well as each vaccine has its own specific fact sheet. We have to change all of our consents, our education, translated materials. So as you can imagine, there's a little bit of logistics that you have to work, as well as lot numbers being separate. So we're currently defining process on the best way to use Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, that type of a thing. Today we're releasing graphics that on walk-in today we have to use up the Pfizer vaccines before they expire tomorrow. So today and tomorrow, whatever we can get in to do walk-in for Pfizer, we're trying to get that one done and taken care of. So we are advertising that Pfizer is on walk-in today. And then we'll be back over to Moderna for the rest of the week and then define how we'll use Johnson & Johnson.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Bill.
Colleen, I appreciate your effort and great job at Tyson. I wonder, your criteria for a pay stub, I would have been caught short on that. I hope we're not raising the bar too high for people. They're well aware they need to bring a pay stub, so I don't normally carry a pay stub.
Sure. So we communicate this out to organizations ahead of time. It's only if they're not able to produce some other type of proof that they work for an organization. So several employers have stated to us that they don't have badges or identification, so it's anything that that employer can come up with to identify that person as an employee. So if they don't feel comfortable bringing their payroll stub, which is kind of a general piece that we use at health department to do income-based pricing. Income-based services, sorry. If they don't, we've had some organizations that have produced a letter on their letterhead, their company letterhead, that identifies that person as their employee with their date of birth, and then they produce that letter to us. So it's just a way for us to verify employment.
And I noticed you still have the 55 to 65 with health conditions listed, although I thought the state had pushed back on us regarding anyone younger.
So that should have been removed, so if you want to let me know where that was posted, we've got to follow up on that.
So just
That was supposed to be
to make a
removed.
point that what you're having to deal with from the state, and I know there was some publicity over the weekend, and Riley County had a similar heavy-handed approach by the state, I think Central County as well, and we are also under the yoke of the state. So this commission would have your back on doing what you need to do to protect our vulnerable citizens. I realize they have the hammer of supply rolled over your head, but I appreciate how you've handled this despite state impediment. Are your registrations falling off though? Are you seeing a diminution for phase 2 eligibles?
Last week when we opened up agriculture and grocery stores, we were very surprised at the lack of enrollments and then the lack of utilization in those walk-in hours. But we wanted to give it the full week because we had heard that a lot of organizations were holding their employees until Friday so that if they felt ill, it'd be over the weekend so that they would return to work so they could maintain workforce. I think that as we navigate through the plan with walk-ins, we're going to see heavier Thursdays and Fridays. We see that heavier request for Thursdays and Fridays either way. But that's why last week, at the end of the week, we were making the decision to open up additional availability at the beginning of this week versus prior to, we had been spending about 2 weeks in each eligibility tier to get that population taken care of. Of course, with walk-in, with enrollment forms, you never know exactly what you're going to expect from each population. To know the numbers, organizations, agriculture is also so broad that it's been difficult to know that. To handle the word getting out for grocery stores and agriculture, we did identify specific organizations and sent them all of the walk-in hours, all the graphics that we created, and links directly to our COVID vaccination portal, the enrollment form, and created all of those into emails to communicate directly to those businesses to send on to their employees.
No, that's very well done. I appreciate all that effort. You don't have a shelf life issue, relatively speaking, with your J&Js. So, I mean, you need to get those Pfizers out, and the Moderna would be shorter shelf life. Johnson & Johnson, I mean, you can refrigerate that for months.
Right. Expiration is more than a year out on Johnson & Johnson, so we have plenty of time to work on getting Johnson & Johnson moved. Our biggest thing, of course, is yes, Pfizer, moving that today and tomorrow as much as possible to get
Do you
this.
have a rough idea of how many Pfizers you have?
It's under 200. I believe it's around 150 or 60, but we were trying to do a final count this morning.
Okay. Because I mean, I have eligible employees who I could encourage. I do think vaccine hesitancy is still an issue. And somebody finally said to me, look, people don't like needles, which I thought that was pretty basic, but people are noticing some of their friends having side effects, especially on the second Moderna. So I think you might, as you discuss the use of the J&J, you might market that at some point, and I'm implying that you have a long time to figure that out, to get that hesitant group in for their single shot.
Absolutely.
And I think it makes sense for the younger people to get that as we open up eligibility. Finally, a citizen on South Main Street has a business which is constantly visited by people looking for the 3I building. And I wonder if we might replace the train show sign with at least a vaccination sign right on South Main Street at Isabel. And given whether you ought to see it before the turn, So that would be on the American Legion side. I don't know what happened to our lighted sign, but, you know, one would think people would know where you are at this point, but they don't. And that business is having some construction as well, and so that added traffic is a little bit disruptive.
Sure.
So I appreciate you and maybe Roger looking into signage there.
Okay.
But thanks again for your great efforts.
As it goes by, I have one quick question.
Sure.
Would you add a new category for eligible people? How in the world are you getting the word out? You said you added agricultural people. How do you tell everybody out there?
Sure. So a lot of it is we identify the core organizations that would make up that specific eligible field, so then we send that communication directly to them, as well as social media and then website. Those are our main ways. We have also people that will walk into the building, ask for those eligibilities. We have like little marketing cards that have our website. We're trying to open it up any way possible to get that out. For grocery stores, with some of the ethnic ones that I'm having some forms with the walk-in times also translated so that we can take those to some of the ethnic grocery stores as well in town so that we can get the word out there as well.
Okay, thank you. Dwayne?
No questions particularly, just I just want to compliment, I continue to get residents commenting on how smooth the process that is and the professionalism of your staff, and I think that speaks very well of you and your people. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Ron?
No, I don't have any questions or anything for Colleen, but to something I think Bill was the one who mentioned it, the heavy-handedness of the state is very much a concern to me, and I'm very familiar with the Riley County thing, and they were doing what I feel they should have been doing as a county, and yet the state comes in and says, we're gonna shut off your supply of vaccine if you do that. So I just think that we need to keep an eye on that, and if we need to reach out to KAC or somebody else to help us out with that, because there was legislation and there was motivation for counties to have flexibility a couple of months ago, and now that flexibility is being eroded. So I'm very, very concerned about that.
The comment where don't have to be in lockstep didn't last very long.
Right.
Okay, we need to have a motion to adjourn as a county commission and reconvene as a board of public health.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are now a board of public health. Now you have a grant application.
Yes, so yearly we have to have the, at least president or chairman, local board of health signature on our grant applications to KDHE every year for the grant period. It of course is due today, so nothing like working at the 11th hour on grant applications. So in your packet, I also included, did it go into the packet or did it just get emailed to them?
It was too late for the packet.
I'm sorry. Did you guys get to see the spreadsheet yet? I have a couple of copies. I'll bring them over here.
I saw it.
I put together an Excel spreadsheet that shows the last 2 fiscal years and then the application and the request for this year. So it outlines your difference of what's requested versus what is awarded. So on the second page, sorry, trying to find my spot here. The applications are quite similar to the requests from previous years. Some grants have predetermined allocation amounts, so that's why you may see duplicated amounts in the request versus the award columns. As other grant opportunities arise this year, the health department will continue to pursue additional funding for programs and deliverables critical to the pandemic response, such as the 3 additional funding sources allowable by the state in fiscal year 2021. You'll see the 3 on the bottom for the 250 $250,000, $325,000, and then the $252,000. Those were all specific to our COVID response and the funding that we went back for. This year, you'll see the carryover for the COVID-19 ELC expanding infrastructure. So that is for funding that ends June of 2023. That we are also pursuing for supporting our COVID-19 response. I also brought 2 copies so that one can stay here for Dory and one back to my office. Are there any
President
questions?
or the chairman of the local health board, is that regarded as the chairman of the commission, or is that? Okay. So we need a motion to allow me to sign.
Sign that one, yeah, there's a copy there.
Yeah, not here. We need a motion to allow me the authority to sign this grant application.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion second. Discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, I'll sign it right quick. You need this back or need it?
I can give one to Dory and I'll take one. Thank you very much.
Any other grant applications or anything else to be taken up as a Board of Health?
That's all I have.
All right, then I would appreciate a motion to recess as the Board of Health and reconvene.
Mr. Chairman, I move we recess the Board of Health.
And we will reconvene as Board of County Commissioners.
What is your signature?
You have a second, did you second one? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes.
All those, you have something, Robert?
After you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, Robert apparently has something.
Well, before Colleen leaves, if you'll come back up, please. Thank you. I had an opportunity on Friday to go out to Tyson and review their efforts out there in vaccination. As you are aware, they were working in conjunction with several guard units from across the state, whether that's from Kansas City or Topeka or perhaps Lawrence as well, if I remember correctly. Nothing but rave reviews for the health department and their operations, stating over and over again that this was the best run that they had been participating in the state of Kansas. I think you have something to be extremely proud of within your organization. The health department has moved out in this entire effort over this last year now. And we've had these types of comments all along from outside agencies that it's one of the best runs in the state of Kansas. So I just wanted to point that out openly. Tyson also echoed that same thought within their corporate organization. This was one of the finest, and that they'll model this in some of the other plants that across the country. So just wanted to make that mention. You all should be very proud of it.
We recognize it, we appreciate it. Took the fun out of going to the coffee shop because they quit complaining, Colleen.
You just can't win.
Oh man, it's finally good to at least hear some positive things coming back around. So I'm kind of tired of making people angry all the time. So it's good to hear.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anything else along the health? I see Kevin sitting there, but Kevin, I'm gonna ask you because we have a commissioner that he needs a 10-minute break. I can tell by looking at him. And so we will reconvene at straight up at 10 o'clock. Dwayne, there you go.
Thank you.
would you please come forward?
All right, everyone.
We'll officially welcome you to the podium.
Thank you, sir. We just have the annual Knoxville Community Education Report. Let's get it.
Thank you.
Have they read the annual report? I believe you guys have all that. I didn't know if you needed any questions on it, or
No,
I know the lady set the bar awful high for us, so.
You're finding strange thistles out there in the county I didn't know existed.
Yeah, the state is having us change our thinking on it. They're gonna have us start doing more of the muscus, little ragweed, and Canada, that's what we have in Phoenix County. And concentrate on them more, that we can try to keep those numbers low and work on our bindweed and Johnson grass. So.
Well, any of the commissioners have a question or comment for Kevin?
I come to Kevin, I've always paid attention to the thistle thing. That number's dropping all the time, and I think that's fantastic. That 38 acres, is that one particular?
Most of that was just on one. Most of that was just on one pasture, but a lot of it is we have to cover the whole pasture because we may find that one plant. So.
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve his annual report, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept Kevin's report on the annual noxious weed, on the annual noxious weed report.
All right. Is there a second?
Clifford will second.
Motion second. Discussion? If not, all those in favor of accepting the noxious weed report, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Your report is accepted.
And then we have the 2021 management plan. That's a new format now, so I tried to fill it out as best we could. And this was kind of sprung on us at the annual conference. So they have a website that we can go to and fill this all out and everything, and that has to be turned in also.
Does that also require a motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, I'd entertain a motion for his maintenance plan.
And it's the 2021 noxious weed management plan, is that correct? Is the title of that, and I would so move that we approve that?
Second.
The motion second, any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 Now, hang on a minute, we'll get things signed here for you.
All righty.
Well, he cited, Kevin, I read through a lot of your customers for the chemical program. Do you limit any particular operation for the year? Is it just kind of first come, first served as it always been?
Yeah, we limit the Bando and Johnson grass over Roundup, glyphosate, to 90 gallons per customer.
Per farm or per year?
No, whenever they come in, we try to limit it. That way it gives an opportunity for everybody to get some. So.
You still handle Tordon?
Yes.
Okay. I might be in the seat.
Sounds good.
Okay, anything else, Kevin?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, if you'll go back there and look and see if you find Roger, we can send him up this way, please. Thank you.
You're out there.
Morning, Mr. Calkins.
How are you? Everybody have a good weekend, lots of rain?
You bet.
Oh, farmer spoke up. Just do a quick update on the Jenny Barker project. Looks like we're flying in from the north here. As you look down there, Votes is the concrete contractor on this. They plan on next week getting out another 1,200 yards of the main line. That'd be about a total of 3,500 total when they get put out, so that'll kind of tell you where they're sitting with their main line. Boats did have to come in and do some corrective action on some of the drainage, and that has already been complete. They didn't have some of the inlets quite correct. Along with this drainage, something that'll stand out and help Finney County is that the drainage along Shulman, I don't know if you remember, but we had some issues with on the south side of Shulman, flooding in that area. Let it be known that that whole area is a flood zone. It's in a flood zone. But the south side of Shulman has historically been a bad flood area. The ditch that they put along their retention pond, it opened up our ditch quite a bit, and I think that'll allow that water to get away from there with that housing development a lot faster than it is now. But they should finish up another 1,200 yards with the concrete. Who knows with this weather now. The roads, the T-Bone, Tenderloin, and all those roads in that area that is currently Finney County's and will be after this project's over, has been finished. The drainage is topped, or the drainage is finished. The road's been topped with an AS1, they call it, which is, it's a 3/4 minus is what it is that they put on top of that. 3/4 minus is, you got 3/4 and everything underneath 3/4 is what they use to top those roads. And I went and drove them this morning, and they look great, so I think that people will be very happy with that. We did have a few signing issues last week. The signing contractor was allowing people to go into areas that they were not supposed to be, and all that has been corrected. The final grading will be knocked out this week on the rest of it to get ready for the main line. They are going to finish the fence around the retention pond this week, or it'll probably be the week after this. If you have any questions, as I'm stuttering along here, just knock yourself out. Davis Electric is installing the poles, the lighted poles for the area. They'll be able to continue that through this weather, I believe. The SPOR won't have any. SPOR, who's the main contractor and is responsible for the dirt roads in that project, where the roads and the drainage is pretty much finished up. They won't have any work on the project for the next couple of weeks. SPOR won't. You have any questions on that?
When is that project going to be completed and open to the public?
We got about 2 more months of work days, and they are within that guideline still. We got about, I think, 65 days left of work, actual contracted work days, and they'll be able to finish up in that time frame. As long as we don't get, we got to quit getting rain, okay? The only thing coming out that's a little bit different, the change to the contract, there's going to be a change order. When the Dickett sees all our ditches and right-of-ways, they issuing a change order to the city council to approve to go ahead and water everything after it's been put in place. The change order, there was $259,000 in contingencies for this project, and with this change order, it's the change order itself is like $14,000, so there's going to be like $248,000 left or something close to that for contingencies, so they're well within their area there. So doing good on their contingencies, not running over what they originally thought. And that's about it. Can you go left there or not?
Go where?
Go down Shulman? Was there anything down Shulman?
I'd fly it now.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but right there at that intersection, that's Shulman. The south side of that intersection is where we historically have had water issues, where it's backed up into the residences. They widened that ditch out on the north side of Shulman quite a bit. It went basically from a 1 foot wide ditch to about an 8 foot wide ditch. The slope is the same, so the water, still doesn't have any more slope, but it'll have more area to hopefully let that go through a little bit quicker there.
And, go ahead, Bill.
Roger, does that widen southbound to a right turn only lane? Do you know if that widens right there at Shulman? Or is it just 2-lane right into it?
There'll be a turn lane in there too.
To the right?
Yes. There's going to be a center lane throughout. And I remember project was designed, the center of the road is not where the pitch point is. It's off a little bit to give them, they made the pitch go on the west side. There are going to be 3 lanes, so you got 2 lanes pitched this way and then 1 lane pitched this way to allow them to add on this in the future if necessary. So the pitch point of the road is, the crown is off center.
Anyone else, comment or question?
Not about this road project, but I think we had did we have a flyover over the Empirical also while we were doing that? So it's a totally different subject, but I just...
We might point out for those in the audience or watching online not familiar, who's flying this drone with high accuracy is our gentleman sitting over there in the corner, Adam, and he's a good pilot, so we appreciate it.
And that thing about Adam.
But I just thought it would be interesting for us, even though it's on city property, to see the flyover of this new Empirical plant that she's looking at right now on the screen.
They dug one big hole out there, didn't they?
Well, we changed out our biggest free concrete swimming pool for the biggest sand pile. So we're now noted for being the biggest sand pile. That right there toward the top of the screen by the highway, yeah, that's a very tall pile.
That actually doesn't do it justice, does it?
No, it doesn't show the height of it.
One of my...
And I just thought it'd be interesting to see that construction project in process.
One of my acquaintances suggested the county buy an artificial snow-making machine.
Yeah.
And put snow on that hill and we could go skiing.
You wouldn't have enough parking out there for all the people that would use that.
Probably right. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Adam.
Anything else for the Jenny Barker project?
Don't think so, Roger. Anything else from your end of the county?
Well, the pressure system for towns, Riverview South, was installed Friday finally, so we can do our testing now. It turned out to be a little bit more involved than what myself or Tatro thought. Guys didn't get out till about 9 o'clock Friday night to get the system set up. So once I get clear of this, we can run out and actually do the testing and get the pressures.
Okay.
Of note, though, with the what's it called, Sunset Terrace, wanting to tap into our sewer line. With what little work we did out there, the pumps couldn't keep up. Once we got going again, it took the guys 4 hours to get things lined up. With the incoming sewer, it took them 4 hours to get those things before they were back going in line, which tells me adding another 50 homes to that is something that we probably should discuss. Just an FYI, but that's too long for one system to work against each other. If the guys weren't out there, it wouldn't have worked. We would have been called back out there because of they would have kicked off. So I was a little disappointed in that.
We appreciate your report. Thank you.
Question, Roger, I noticed you're working on the parallel, west parallel. How's that going? Where are you on?
We got, I think, 1 mile left on that. We started topping that with, it's about a 5/8 minus, and then we threw in some millings with that too. Not as much millings as we did on 6 mile on those. But when we did Ivanhoe, we used a little bit of millings there too, just to see, and we thought it worked pretty good with that drainage.
Inch and a half of rain will probably help you.
We'll see if everybody stayed on it.
Yeah, I know, can't guarantee that.
So that project's going pretty good. We have a lot of other issues coming up. So once that's over, we'll be done with the major elevated roads for a while, so we get some drainage and everything.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Next on our agenda, it's an important part of our meeting and for our recognition of annual, the amount of time people have dedicated to the county. So I'm going to ask Kelly to come forward, and we're going to recognize some people that are worthy of recognition.
Right. And commissioners, if you could all come up front with me.
We're actually, can everybody hear me okay?
Didn't mean to upset you.
And this, we'll hold it this way, that way you can hear. What we're recognizing, we will identify as we go along our increments of service. The Kansas Association of Counties recognize people based on 8-year increments, is that correct? And we also, as a county for years, have recognized people based on 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So that's what we're going to recognize today. And I'm going to call the first name. She happens to be standing nearby. That would be Kelly. And I'm going to ask Kelly's boss, or all of our boss, to come forward and hand him the microphone.
Oh, all right. Kelly joined the county in 2012 as an office manager for Juvenile Detention Center. Later that year, she came up to the Office of Administration as payroll coordinator. With that, she became then 19 our HR generalist, and then January of this year was appointed as the HR director. Kelly's commitment to the county has been extraordinary in the short amount of time that I've known her. And congratulations on your years of service.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Now, while we have Robert standing here, we're going to recognize one more of his people, that would be Beth.
We're going to take a picture of
Oh, we're going to take a picture.
We're going to take a picture.
Oh.
Here we go, 3, 2, and...
Oh. Can I take my mask off?
So we know who you are?
Yes.
3, 2, and 1.
Got it.
Oh, let's do one more. 3, 2, and 1. All right, we're good.
Thank you, Excellent. Now, we have next up Beth Beavers. So, Beth, would you come forward? Is your microphone again on?
Yes, thank you. Beth. For those of you who don't know, Beth joined the county in 2004 as an intensive supervision officer, ISO 1 for the 25th District Community Corrections. In November, she was promoted to an ISO 2, and then in 2008, she was Deputy Director of Community Corrections. 2011, in August, Director, and then moved to the Administrative Office in 2018 as the county's budget analyst. She served in that capacity until just recently, in October of last year, she was made the Director of the Department of Corrections. I had an opportunity to work with her as she was our budget analyst, and through the process of applying and interviewing and so forth, she advanced to the role as director. very good fit for the organization. She's been here for
16 years.
only 16 years. And I want to congratulate her on her years of service as well.
You want to take the last one? I get to hug everybody here. Okay, got it, thank you. Okay, we're gonna switch departments here. Well, we have Beth up front, Jared and Clement, 8 years of service. With Jared, you here? Come forward, please, Beth.
So Jarrett was hired on with the county on July 30th of 2012 at the Juvenile Detention Center as a detention officer. Jarrett has proven to be a valuable asset to the Juvenile Detention Center and Finney County. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to many years. And this is his 8th year.
Thanks, Jared. Now come back and we'll get your pictures, Jared. 3, 2, and 1. Got it? Next up, Kathy Frick, are you here? Red eye. There she is. And she's being recognized for 8 years.
So Kathy started as an intern with the 25th Judicial District Community Corrections in 2011. She was completing her substance abuse bachelor's degree and certification. On February 27th, 2012, she was hired full-time as a substance abuse counselor. Kathy's hardworking and has a passion for what she does. Thank you for your dedication and loyalty to Finney County.
Hold on,
sorry.
Thank you.
Hey, Mom, how are you? Thank you.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's hold it up. And we'll get your picture.
You never know where they're gonna show up.
Yeah, I know.
Very good. Next up, recognized for 8 years is Dale Wilson.
Only your age behind.
So Dale was hired on October 10th, 2012 as a jail deputy with the Sheriff's Department and promoted to corporal in June of 2014. In December of 2018, he transferred to the fairgrounds as a maintenance supervisor, and then in 2019 became a detention officer until February of 2021. Dale, we hope this recognition will remind you of our appreciation for your hard work and dedication. Thank you for all you have done for Finney County during your years of service.
Now come back and hand you this and get your picture. Here, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. 20 years of experience with the county is one Carlos Murillo. Carlos? And kind of a familiar looking face. Oh, you got, I'm sorry. over here on your.
All right. So, we have a basket here.
So Carlos was hired on September 5th, 2000 with the Juvenile Detention Center as a juvenile detention officer. In October 2005, he was appointed to the 25th Judicial District Community Corrections as an intensive supervision officer. He was then promoted to an intensive supervision officer 2, and most recently promoted to Deputy Director of the Juvenile Detention Center. We know that our growth and success is dependent on having devoted and capable team members such as you, and we want to recognize the contributions you have made in helping us achieve our goals.
Let's give you this. Thank you for your service. I'll have you step over here and get your picture.
3, 2, and 1.
Hey, more goodies.
We'll take it.
I'll take care of that for you if you want.
Yeah, use the microphone.
Use the microphone for the microphone.
You lay it down.
Oh, it's up here. Back there.
There we go, I'm sorry. Again, well, to recognize 20 years of service, Penelope Medina, I'm sorry. Here's your mic.
So Penny was hired on June 26, 2000 as a food service assistant at the Juvenile Detention Center and promoted to food service manager on August 21st, 2001. Penny, you're a valued member of our team and, sorry, I'm getting breathless, and your continued contributions are vital for Finney County to continue to be successful in meeting our stated missions, visions, and values. Thank you.
For 20 years experience, we're going to recognize, 20 years experience, we're going to recognize someone who is unfortunately not here today, but we'll recognize her anyway, Yolanda Herrera. And what do you want to say about that?
Well, I left my card back there. Yolanda was hired in 2000 as an office manager for the 25th Judicial District Community Corrections. She is still in that position today, and she is a valuable member and really kind of a core to the entire agency. So thank you, Yolanda.
The Kansas Association of Counties recognizing a person for 8 years. That would be Evelyn Atkinson. Evelyn? Well, we have a new boss here all of a sudden. We'll recognize this fellow here as Kevin Vasquez Sheriff.
Thank you. Evelyn's being recognized for 8 years of service. She came to work for the Sheriff's Office in our food service division and has been in that position her entire career so far. So hopefully 8 more years after this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to need need some help here on the pronunciation so I don't miss it. Isis Rojas, who is recognized for 8 years of service.
All right, Isis, I can't remember if you came to work for us as a jail deputy or civil. Okay, so originally Isis came to work for us in civil process, and then she moved to the records division from there, and currently she's our assistant IT, well, not director, but just assistant IT person. So she's actually assisting Captain Robert Hahn, and she's done a great job, and we're kind of excited about what the future holds for the Sheriff's Office and IT and ISIS. So thank you for 8 years of service, ISIS.
From the Sheriff's Office, Dirk Roth, and he has 16 years being recognized by the Kansas Association of Counties.
Oh, wait till you turn around. All right, Dirk has been with us for 16 years. He came to us as a jail deputy, and then it's so long ago, I don't know if he worked his way up a little bit, but then he eventually transferred to patrol. Did patrol for a little bit, but I think then may have realized that the jail was maybe his calling, and so he worked his way back up. He was transferred back to the jail division. He's worked his way back up to a sergeant, and I'm very proud to say that our 4 teams, or our 4 sergeants, are awesome, and I think we're in a great place right now, and Dirk is one of our leaders up there, and he's also on our crisis team. So whenever we have a crisis issue within the Sheriff's Office, when any of our jail deputies or officers have witnessed something traumatic, whether it be a death or a suicide or whatever, Dirk is on our crisis team, and so he's one of the first people that we call out to come visit with our officers to try to help them work through and deal with those critical situations. So, Dirk, thank you for your service.
Let's hand you this. Smile real big.
3, 2, and 1.
Looks good. Would I be out of line? I'm going to vary the format here a little bit for Kansas Association of Counties recognition, 24 years of experience. We have a husband and wife combination. So Tim and Nora, would you come forward, please? Tim and Nora Schultz.
Nora just recently had some surgery on her knee, so she's a little bit slower than she normally is.
And Tim has survived it.
Yeah.
Good boy.
All right, I'm guessing I'll talk about Nora first, but I can tell you that I first met Nora when I was a crime prevention officer back in 1989, and she was a para for a teacher that we both loved very much, who was a neighbor of mine across the street, Amy Hale, and Nora was her para, and I used to go into her classroom and do crime prevention programs. So that's where I first met Nora, and then 24 years ago, I was fortunate that she came and applied with the Sheriff's Office, and I hired her. She started out as a records deputy and worked her way up to be the supervisor of our records division position, which she currently holds. And then we were fortunate to get her husband, Tim, in the same time period. Tim was working for the police department at the time, But he decided he wanted to join his wife and come work for the sheriff's office. Yeah, and a lot of people would say maybe he was coming to a better department too, maybe we just say that tongue in cheek. Both sides, claim that distinction. Anyway, Tim started as a jail deputy. No, you're one of those that got to go right to patrol. That's because he probably had a state certification already. So Tim went to patrol, and then eventually he moved to investigations, and was on our drug task force team in investigations, and was doing a great job. But Tim felt, and I agreed with him, that he had a little bit more to offer to the department. So he ended up moving over to the patrol division as a sergeant. And we were very excited about that because all of his experience as an investigator and a drug investigator, we felt was going to be very helpful to our patrol division as he guided young officers, old officers, on some of the methods that he had experience in. And then eventually he then worked his way up to lieutenant, a position of patrol which he currently holds. So I would like to thank Tim and Nora for your 24 years of service. I will, before you say anything, Tim is retiring a week from Friday. So not only has he done 24 years of service for us, but we have the honor of, I guess, having him retire under us too. So anyway, thank you both for your service.
Thank you, sir. Jim, step right in here, we'll get your signature.
3, 2, and 1.
Yep. All right, thank you. This fella, I think I've heard of before, 32 years, and he's even getting grayer than I am. Michael Warner, would you come forward, please?
I still have something.
I
just thought.
I thought he was just over here watching the presentation. I forgot that he was getting awarded today. So anyway, Mike has 32 years of service. After Mike got out of the Air Force, he came back to, well, Mike is a Pierceville kid. And he came back to, well, we'll say Garden City, right? Came back to Garden City and decided to join the sheriff's office. He's kind of a legacy kind of guy because his dad, Verol, we have a conference room named after his dad, and his dad spent 40 years on our sheriff's posse, and that may have been one of the reasons why Mike decided to join the sheriff's office. I think it was just because, really, I think it was because I was there, and he knew how things were going to turn out in the long run. But anyway, he started out as a jail deputy, and then went to the patrol division and steadily worked his way up until he was captain of the patrol division. And he had every position, corporal, sergeant, well, were you ever a lieutenant? Oh, okay, I didn't know if we had lieutenants back then, if it went directly to captain, but then eventually as captain, when Undersheriff John Andrews, who was my undersheriff almost the entire time, well, from the beginning of when I was sheriff until he retired a little over a year ago. I think I had recognized a long time ago, I think everybody else in the department had also recognized who was going to be the person that was going to take over for John Andrews, and that was going to be Mike Warren. So Mike Warren currently is our Finney County undersheriff, and congratulations on 32 years.
Someone again who is not here today, but Wesley, who had 20 years with Finney County, and I understand she was retired, is that correct?
Yeah.
So I'll hand this to...
Oh, I forgot to give this back to you anyway, but that's all right.
Okay.
Feels good.
Appreciate
It feels good right here. Okay, well, I gotta take off my glasses because I gotta read some stuff. Okay, Karen Wesley started working for the sheriff's office August 21st of 2000. And the whole time that she worked for us, she was our animal control officer. And all I can say is, when I was on patrol, we didn't have animal control. And so the patrol deputies were animal control. And it was one of our least favorite jobs to do because, first off, we didn't have a place to take them. We didn't have any laws to do anything with. So a lot of times we had to take care of business however way that we could. So when we instituted, or the county instituted the laws for animal control, we got Karen in. I know that all the patrol deputies were very grateful to have her on duty, and of course she's now retired in December. So she's not here today, but we wanted to recognize her because last year was her 20-year anniversary. So anyway, thank you, Karen Wesley.
And next up to recognize 20 years with the Sheriff's Office would be Sam. So Sam Dara, would you come on up?
Sam Dara. You know that his nickname is the Raging Bull. Sam Dara began working for the Sheriff's Office in September of 2000. He began as a jail deputy and then worked his way up to a jail sergeant, and then decided that he wanted to go to street patrol, and so he went to the patrol division, and in 2010 became sergeant on the patrol division. So currently he's probably our senior patrol sergeant, which is a position that he currently holds. So Sam, thank you for 20 years of service.
Pleasure.
And Kevin, before you go, one more recognition. One of your employees who unfortunately is not here today, but for 20 years of dedicated service, won great hands.
And I think that 20 years of service recognition goes to all the employees who have to put up with great hands. Am I right? So I think that all of us, I'm going to make a copy, 100 copies of that, and I'm going to give that to everybody that has to work with Greg. But Greg's not here today. He had a kid that he had to take to an appointment or somewhere out of town. But one of the things I did want to say is we had numerous 8, 16, and 24, 32-year employee recognitions today, plus 3 20-year recognitions. And I just want to say how proud I am of our department, of the longevity that we experience. And for example, this year we had we have, at the Sheriff's Office right now, we have 13 employees that have 20 plus years currently working for us. This year, well, we just recognized 3 from 2020. This year in 2021, we'll have 4 more 20-year recognitions, and then the following year we're going to have 4 more 20-year recognitions. I understand we're the biggest department in the county, but I'm very proud of the fact that of the longevity and how our folks do stay. So, but let me then now just go into Greg Hands real quick. Greg started in June of 2000, started in the jail, moved to the patrol division, eventually moved to investigations where he was an investigator, and then worked a lot of years on the drug task force, then eventually became the supervisor, the captain of that division. And in 2019, when Mark Welch retired as jail administrator, Greg was transferred, promoted, whatever you want to call it, and he's currently our jail administrator. So Greg is the person directly after Mike Warren in the chain of command. So he's our number 3 person in the agency. So he's actually kind of wearing 2 hats right now. He's still kind of keeping his thumb on the investigations division a little bit, and not so much just because he wants to. So anyway, I just want to appreciate all of the folks from the Sheriff's Office and for Greg and their other 20-year people. for their years of service for Fenton County.
Thank you, Kevin. And we appreciate your time. And Roger, would you head this way, please? As Roger comes up, I'd like to say we're going to recognize for 8 years of dedicated service, one Jeffrey Reber. Is that correct?
Reber.
Okay.
All right, Jeff came to Roden Bridge November 5th of 2012 and has since went from an EO1, he's now currently an EO3. Jeff runs his own section and a motor grader, does a very fine job of that. The important thing to point out about Jeff is that if you're backhoeing around, just give him a shovel and get out of the way. Because he will do it. And he will do it in overtime. But I sure appreciate your service, Jeff. Congratulations.
Next up, we're going to recognize Kevin Thomas. Kevin has 32 years with Finney County.
All right, what can you say about Kevin?
That's good.
He started March 7th of 1988. Is there anybody in here that was born after that? We got some people. Just saying. The wisdom shows in his hair. Kevin has been with Noxious Weed his entire career and got promoted to the director May 6th of October 14th of 2019. Kevin has a very good history with the Noxious Weed Department, has a good rapport with the farmers, and does a real fine job for us out there. So appreciate your service, Kevin.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take freedom here just for a second. And when you chair 3 eye shows like I did when we used to have them here in Garden City, this is the forklift driver you want to have right here.
3, 2, and 1.
Good. Hang on, Robert. We have one more very special lady by the name of Angie Schmidt, and she has been with Finney County for only 20 years.
All right, Angie came to us January 3rd of 2000. She was hired as the fairgrounds manager. December 05, she went to fairgrounds director, and then in 2019, she was named parks and fairgrounds coordinator. I can tell you, I don't want to say old school in an offensive way, but it's a good thing. The work ethic that we have here, being at work and getting the job done, doesn't matter what time it is, she'll stay until the job's completed. She has a great rapport with everybody in Finney County and statewide. She made the Fair Hall of Fame in 2018. It's 2018, she's in the Hall of Fame, the Kansas State Hall of Fame for fairs, which is quite an accomplishment. That's a lot of hard work going in right there. Anytime you have to deal with volunteers and fairs, my hat's off to you. So we really appreciate your hard work, Angie.
Thank you. Thank you. And I can relate about the 3 eye shows. That's fine, that's right.
3, 2, and 1.
Thank you, Angie. Okay, we need Angie Nelson up this way, please. And we're going to recognize for 8 years, Lisa Tomlinson.
I'm pleased to have Lisa on our WIC team over at the Finney County Health Department. She was hired as a WIC RN in July of 2012. She is definitely the go-to at this point for any questions that we have when things come up. Her years of service improve our clinic's ability to serve our WIC population. Lisa, I appreciate all the work that you do. You're a great asset to me, and you're an asset to our clients and to our clinic as a whole, and an asset to the county. Thank you.
We'll hand you this, and get your picture.
3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Maria, where are you? Well, as you come up, we're going to recognize for 20 years of service dedicated to this county, one Mary Holmes.
Mary started out in the appraiser's office in January 3rd of 2000. She is currently my deputy, and I think you came in as the receptionist, so she worked her way up. Mary's expertise is in the commercial real estate. Something that I've really appreciated about Mary is she listens to the commercial property owners, and she works hard to make sure that the properties are collected correctly and are valued at fair market value. And we'll have commercial property owners that come in and talk to her, and she has her door open and she will talk to them if they have any kind of questions and so forth. So I really do appreciate her dedication and her passion for her job, and her work ethic is awesome, outstanding, kind of like Angie. She will get the job done, and she'll make sure that it's done correctly. So Mary, thank you for being my deputy and always being there. I can always count on you to be there for me and help me answer any kind of questions that may arise. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just say.
3, 2, and 1.
Thank you, Mary. And if Skylar would start this way, please. We're going to recognize for 20 years one Teresa Maddox.
Teresa began part-time with Finn County EMS back in 1992, and in 2000 she was hired on full-time as a paramedic. Teresa is someone who embodies service before self. In the past 20 years, she has dedicated herself to serving Finn County not only as a paramedic, but as a compassionate and tireless citizen. She has given back to her community countless hours of personal time and personal finance. She is always looking for something to do and is the personification of traditional work ethic. Her compassion reaches beyond EMS and into other departments as well. In 2018, she was recognized by the Garden City Fire Department as their Keeper of the Flame. Teresa, thank you very much for your tireless dedication to Finn County, and you are a staple of Finn County EMS.
Now I'm going to hold this word because he has something to hand you. Now turn right over and get your picture taken.
3, 2, and 1.
Appreciate you. And finally, we have somebody that's not here today, but I'm going to hand the mic back to Kelly and let her recognize somebody with an outstanding record. So, Kelly, here you go.
Thank you. So, Uli Lappin left us with just over 40 years of service. I did reach out to Uli, and unfortunately she could not be with us here today. But after serving the citizens of Finney County for just over 40 years, I felt that I should share a little about her time and dedication, and knew how much that we appreciated her within our organization. Uli began her employment with Finney County June 9th of 1980 as an office clerk in the Office of the Register of Deeds. Just 1 year later, in June of 1981, Uli was promoted to Deputy Register of Deeds. On July 28, 2008, Uli was appointed to the Register of Deeds and served in this capacity until January 15, 2021, when she retired. Over the past 9 years, I am blessed to have been able to work with Uli and get to know her. As an elected official, her compassion, integrity, commitment, and dedication to her office, her organization, and the citizens of Finney County are commendable attributes that we as public service employees should all strive to meet. So if you see Uli out in the community, thank her for her years of service. And Uli, if you're listening here today, on behalf of everyone at Finney County, we appreciate your 40 years with us.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our awards. I, at this point, want to make sure and invite everybody who is a 20-year employee and their director to stay or return, whatever. We're going to provide you a catered lunch here in just a little bit. So with that, thank you for your time and your participation.
And I did 2 of each because I need a copy as well, so I'm just gonna sign it real quick before you go and leave a copy of each of you. Thanks, Kevin. You need a pen?
No, I got plenty.
If we can, gentlemen, let's return to our agenda. It's on the agenda board governance, and I'm, among other things, going to ask Juan to catch us up on what has happened with certain bills, and we'll go from there.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The primary bill that I think we all have been trying to pay attention to, and the KAC for sure, and I know KLPG also has been monitoring. We might want to turn that microphone back around for good feedback. Is Senate Bill 13. And Senate Bill 13 has passed both houses of the legislature and is on the governor's desk awaiting signature. And unfortunately, Senate Bill 13 is retroactive to January 1 of 2021. They tried to get that changed in the House, and they couldn't get it changed to get the votes that they wanted out of the House. And so I reached out to Jay Hall, the legal counsel and legislative liaison for KAC, and I just to verify that I was reading things correctly, and he said, yes, that is correct. However, and Dory may know what's going on here too, but he says, and I'm reading from his text from last week, some provisions are delayed until next year, but the bill itself says January 1 of 2021. And he goes on to say the Clerks Association has been working on something, and I plan to visit with R.J. Wilson with the Clerks Association next week, which would be this week, and see if KAC can help on some of that. So what it means is that the tax lid, as we know it, is going away if the governor signs it, and it appears she's going to. The tax lid, as we know it, would go away. However, if tax dollars are raised for certain individuals, then they would have to. Then we would have to have a notice of hearing and so forth. And it appears to me that schools are exempted from this, which is kind of interesting. Or they were, at least in one version. I don't think they are. No, I think they were put. No, that's correct. They were exempted in the Senate version. They were put back in the House version.
I think everybody gets to enjoy
right.
this.
So the schools are back. They were back in. They were out for a while. You're right, Larry. They were out for a while, but the House put them back in. That is correct. So the schools are included as well. Supposedly, there's going to be reimbursement of some of the costs from the state, but who knows on that part of it. So anyhow, the tax lid is being replaced by Senate Bill 13, and I think we need to be just watching it very carefully, but I understand the clerks are working to try to get some modifications. And that's, I mean, there were other things, but that was the primary one that I was following last week very closely.
Anybody else have anything to offer toward board of governance?
I've covered my report.
Okay, cover your report. Sound like a deal. Well, then that says county administrator's report, so let's turn that right over to one Robert Speaks.
Okay. There we go. Did it leave us on?
I turned it off.
Go ahead, turn it on.
We on? All right. For part of my report, actually the majority of the report, then you've heard a lot of things about the updates on the grant stuff that we've been doing and various other things. But as you recall, March 1st, we had a joint meeting with the City of Garden City. And during that, and the purpose of that meeting was about 5 or 6 different topics, but in general, there was a topic there on sales tax, and you heard the city make a brief presentation on an approach that they were looking at to possibly look at a city-wide 0.25% sales tax. And in that, they talked about the purpose of that, which one was to maintain some of their operations, and it became a mill levy stabilization aspect of it. The other aspect of it was to help fund some improvements to the airport. Following that presentation, some of the county staff, our fiscal committee, got together and looked at opportunities on what that may look like if we maybe took a little bit of a different approach. So today's presentation, if you will, or review, is really to take a look at what county staff has proposed. We did have, just by point of reference, a brief meeting last week, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, where we invited a few representatives from both Garden City and the City of Holcomb to look at this approach, and that's what we have before you today. What it is a county general purpose 0.25% sales tax. Slide, please.
Adam?
Yeah. As you've heard earlier this year, you do have a couple of sales tax going off. One of them is the Horse Thief Reservoir at 0.15%, and that is a county-wide sales tax. It's not assessed by the county, but it is a county-wide sales tax. That's proposed to go off at the end of this year. The second sales tax was used to fund the SCS building, and that is to retire the debt of that facility. That is intended to go off in the end of April of 2022. May extend through June, depending on how that is determined within the statutes as ending on a quarter. Slide, please. This gives you an idea of detail within the cities of this sales tax breakout. In red letters are the two sales tax that are going off that I just spoke about. Slide. And then we went into discussing where does the revenue come from on a countywide sales tax? So we talked about pull factor and explaining for those that, at that meeting last week, they all had a pretty good concept of what pull factor was. But in general, for general public, the pull factor in essence is how much of the retail sales tax are you pulling in from outside the boundaries of the county. A pull factor greater than 1 is a good thing, and those that are less than 1, it means that you're losing sales from outside of your own community. So greater than 1, you're pulling in a lot of sales from outside. The pull factor for Finney County is 1.42, very strong pull factor. In fact, it's the 5th strongest in the state of Kansas. What does that mean technically? Well, approximately 30% of the dollar's worth of sales tax revenue that the county receives, approximately 30% of that is paid for by individuals who live outside of the county. In discussions at last week's meetings, some of the local studies had indicated that perhaps that pull factor is even stronger based upon internet sales and things of that nature, indicating that it could be as high as 50%. Half of the sales tax revenue, up to half of the sales tax revenue coming in is generated by those that visit our community. Slide. This slide gives you an idea of what our current 1/4% countywide sales tax generates for all the communities that share in it. And keep in mind that this is a share based upon state formula. The state formula, 1, is based upon population, and 2, based upon the amount of dollars levied in property tax. As you can see, the county generates just a little over $1 million a year to retire that debt. That's equivalent approximately 2.2 mills with today's assessed valuation. What that equivalent is on a $100,000 residential piece of property, that equates to just a little over $25 a year in property tax. So in essence, that sales tax is saving property owners that amount. Same dollar amount generated for Garden City. That mill levy equivalent, according to the city of Garden City, is approximately 4.6 mills. The dollar impact on a home is almost $53. So that's what their portion of it goes to. And then visiting with the city administrator in Holcomb, they generate approximately $85,000 for their budget. That's an equivalent of approximately 6.2 mills, or $71 on a $100,000 home. Slide. This, once again, this is was the purpose for the current 25% or 25.25% sales tax that is going off in the spring of next year. Slide. The renewal of a current countywide 0.25% sales tax would once again be utilized for the purposes as we identified in the previous screen, which in essence is property tax stabilization, no levy stabilization, as we talked about today, just briefly. Mr. Fishing touching on the Senate bill that's before us. This sales tax then could come into play in that, in essence, trying to curb the impact of that. So what this means then is that the things that we have in front of us today as far as challenges on funding would be funded by this 1/4%. In essence, it's a stabilizing factor for our budget. So, slide please. Okay. In essence, as a brief conclusion, supporting a 1/4% sales tax, if the Board of County Commissioners so choose, then would help maintain the current service levels and the current assets of the county, and maintain a level, stable mill levy, not just for the county, but as you see, for Garden City and the city of Holcomb as well. Okay. Just want to reinforce, once again, up to 50% of the sales tax revenue generated is generated by those individuals visiting our community, purchasing, shopping here. So those are things that in our previous meetings I just wanted to convey and present to this board as this issue is something that I believe that the Board of County Commissioners should take a serious look at in terms of how we are going to move forward in the future in some of our funding challenges that we have before the county. That concludes my presentation, subject to any of your questions, if you have any. Question one?
Well, not a question, and I would just expand on what's been said here so far, that in the meeting that we had the other day, where Chairman Dave and I were present with Robert and Dory, that we had good discussion with the City of Holcomb and the City of Garden City. One point that I made, and I don't know if it was caught the attention of a few others, but during the conversation it was said, your county tax, our city tax, our city. No, to me, this is our county tax. It covers all the entities, and so I think one of the messages that we want to convey is that it's a countywide tax. It's our tax, whether you're in Garden City or Holcomb or outside of the incorporated entities. The second point is that Robert's already referenced is that we discussed if we were to extend this sales, or ask for permission to extend this sales tax, which by the way started in 1997 and has been renewed 2 or 3 times, that really it's a property stabilization issue. That we have projects, we have an HVAC project, we have road projects, we have things within the county. The city of Garden City has a specific project with the airport and so forth, and as well as roads and that type of thing. And if I understood Holcomb correctly, their monies are going for street and road improvements and maintenance and so forth. So those are ongoing. And Adam, if you could go back to that slide with the mill levy, if you would please. Right there. That's the one we focused on through the meeting the other day. Is if we don't stabilize with the use of sales tax, that it does mean that there is the potential of increased property tax. And in my crude measure of just surveying a few people, that's what they're most concerned about. They want to see property tax stay stable or be lowered. They don't have a problem at all paying additional sales tax if they consume the goods. And so that's where the discussion was the other day that I just think, I just wanted to encapsulate.
Question, Robert, this is a 5-year extension?
It's yet to be determined. That's-
Oh, I thought they were preset.
No, we can pick a time, but we hadn't determined.
It started in 77, so I didn't.
97.
Oh, 97.
97.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'll speak more clearly next time.
Okay.
I think the one on, that's just being paid off was actually more than 5 years. We've done well.
I believe it was 2014.
It was instituted in 14.
I believe so.
I think that's right.
So that would be 7 years.
A little over 7 years.
So, we will need to decide on a time frame, but 5 years is almost too quick.
When you consider the purpose of the sales tax, you need to consider the potential longevity of it as well. We're utilizing it as a stabilization for property tax. You normally look at sales taxes a little bit longer than a 5-year or 10-year period. The other point, and once again, this is not an additional sales tax. It's the extension of a current one. So, just a point of clarification.
Which we will understand. Wayland?
Two things, number one, is the state have any limit on how many years you can put on a sales tax issue, or?
This is part of your 1% general purpose sales tax, and if it's a general purpose sales tax, which this is the structure of it, no, there is nothing wrong.
The second part of it is an observation. It seems like the general observation is most people's homes, the valuations have gone up this year. That seems to be the coffee shop topic. So I think this is a great approach, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I commend you and staff for thinking out of the box on this a little bit. Appreciate it.
They do a great job.
Yeah, maybe I missed it, but what's our time frame? It seems like given the August primary election potential, we've got to fast track this.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and ask Dory to speak to that particular angle.
So in regard to the election, we do not have a definite August primary this year. So you can certainly schedule the election for that date. I will tell you that my office would need approximately 90 days in order to set up an election and get things moving. Given that, I think you could go as early as June if you wanted to. But you could certainly do August. I think that would work for the budget timing that we're need, although that's it pretty close.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could also respond to that, and I think an August timeframe makes some sense because people are tuned into, even if there's not a primary for other elections, they're tuned into August being a primary month, if you will. But the other is, don't we have to allow 90 days for protest possibility?
Not, again, I did a little bit of research on that, and I can't find that there's any protest required. I know, I went back and reviewed the Jenny Barker resolution, Jenny Barker sales tax resolution. There's no protest period in that, nor some of the other ones, some of the older sales taxes that we reviewed.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, in regard to the election, I would say that if you do choose to go with the August, and we do end up having a primary, that is going to save you money. I mean, if we have one in June and then have to have another one in August, that could, increase costs.
But the other point I wanted, or the other 2 points I wanted to make, is the city's anxious to know because they have a different reporting date, for their budget and so forth, and needing to know information for budgeting purposes. And I'll leave that up to them to explain all that, but they are anxious to know with regard to that. But lastly, there needs to be some informational things done prior to an election. August would give us that other couple of months in order to be able to do that. But I'm not nervous about having it be August, rather than some other date beyond that. But I think June would be a little too fast for us to be able to put everything into play.
Our discussion today centers around, with consensus or motion, either direction, need to ask our new county council to get your pen and paper out. And with Dory and Robert and those who have a little vested interest and a whole lot of knowledge, draft a resolution and a ballot question. Is that correct, Robert?
That would be correct,
And
and this is for your consideration.
We need to present that officially to the commission soon on, so that we can take action and get this moving.
And it was suggested in our meeting the other day that even, and Linda might want to reach out, or Robert, that our bond council might have some suggested wording for this particular question as well. So, and then lastly, I think we do need to be thinking about the time frame, and I think it needs to be 10 years plus, you know, maybe even 15, or for a general purpose sales tax, so that it's not, we're not coming back and revisiting this every, it seems like every other year, if you will. But since it's part of the general purpose levy.
So any other questions before we move? Would it be sensible to do this by motion so it's in our record, in our minutes?
Yes, it is. If the board is willing to, or interested in moving in this direction, then yes, it would take a formal motion for direction to staff to do whatever you want.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we authorize our county council to work on the documentation needed to ask for permission from the residents to extend the 1/4 county general purpose sales tax.
Second.
You have a motion and a second, and I'm looking here right quick. Linda, we have our next meeting on the 5th of April. That may rush the devil out of the process, but it'd be nice if we had that on our agenda. So, if that's it, any other discussion? All those in favor then of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. Your report is not complete yet, is it?
It can be. No, just wanted to give you an update on, a few things that we have going on. Obviously, we're wrapping up the, actually, March 17th is the final reporting date for our Sparks grant, and I received the, and reviewing the documents for that, and we'll get that sent off probably as early as today. I briefed you ever so briefly on the connectivity grant, and I'll continue to follow up on that, see if we can hustle along on the reimbursement of that. We talked very briefly about the recovery grant that's coming down to the counties directly, sat in on a Zoom meeting, webinar, if you will, with that NACO presented on Friday. And they anticipate that can, you may see some revenues coming in on that as early as 60 days now. And how that would be split out, in essence, the counties would receive the first half within approximately 60 days after the signing of that bill, which was done last Thursday, and with the second half coming no earlier than a year after the first half. So that gives you an idea of the timing. Once again, Finney County is in line to receive just under 7.1 million in that, for that grant as well. So we'll need to have some conversations on
Forward thinking.
Correct. So that Recovery Act has an awful lot of opportunities to it. As you heard, outside agencies will receive their dollars directly, such as the city and the school district and so forth. But there are specifically dollars set aside for things such as childcare needs and operations that can be tapped into. So anyway, as that comes out, I know that the KAC and NACO will continue to have briefings on that. We'll monitor that. So That concludes it.
Good job there, Mr. County Administrator. Larry?
Okay, first up, I have a library board meeting tonight. Thank you, Dave.
Isn't that fun?
Yes. Especially when the heat didn't work. Still. I was on the KLPG call, a couple of them. There's 2 weeks, I think, left in legislature. Is that right, Ron? Yeah, I think something like that.
Might be a little bit longer, but yeah.
But anyway, they said they had 124 House bills passed out and 88 Senate bills passed, and the governor has signed 4. So there's a lot to be done yet. And referring back to the American Rescue Plan, I love these names. I don't know if it's a rescue or not, but $2.5 billion goes to the state of Kansas. That's amazing how much money they're just going to hand out. Over $600 million will go to the USDs in the state. One of the interesting things I thought is our Southwest Chief is going to get reinstituted, so we'll probably have daily train service again. And then on the Senate Bill 13, they were talking about the state's going to pay the cost of notification for 2 years.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how it actually ended up. I know at one point they said that they would allow the notifications to be electronic, so utilizing social media, website, possibly email.
I think there's a lot of variability there, but the way I understood it, the only way they could get it through is that the state said, well, we'll cover the cost for 2 years, and then after that, it's our cost.
Yes, and part of that cost that they're going to cover would be for vendors to develop the programs to allow us to more easily do those notifications. But I do believe the first year can be electronic, but the state is going to pick up the tab on some of those development efforts.
And I think that's part of what Jay was referencing when he said he's working with the Clerks Association.
That, that passed out of the Senate at a count of 30 to 5, so it was pretty well overwhelming.
And it was 120 something to, it was very overwhelming in the House as well.
And then there was a Senate Bill 76, a proposed property tax freeze on seniors and vets. And I don't know where that is, it's probably still in the hearings. But as far as the property tax, those are the only two that I really jotted down here.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Bill?
I was on 2 NACO calls last week, and if you have time, I just popped up that there's a 2 p.m. Central Time call. I mean, this is a fast-breaking ball game, so if you want to get on the call and hear about the American Rescue Plan, it's interesting listening. In addition to Southwest Chief, I mean, there's a proposal to waiver FEMA cost share. I mean, that we may be able to take advantage of. Economic development funds, as Robert said, child care. There's something, adjustment to the FMAP, which is the Medicaid reimbursement formula. I mean, it's unbelievable what's in that package. And our kids will get to pay for it. I was on the KOPG call Friday. Senator Hildebrand has introduced Senate Bill 295 to limit KDHE's ability to go slow on the county administration of vaccines. We'll see if that gets any traction. Had a citizen request a sign to direct people better to the 3I building. They've been stopping in at their business, and Roger informs me they're going to put the lighted sign up this morning to get people directed to the 3I building. Worked with Senator Dahl. He was looking at putting an amendment in to reinstate the mortgage fees that we lost several years ago. I think it was 2015. So I had Corey at the Register of Deeds office help me with that. And see if I can get on the NACO call today. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Really, I don't have any official report. So,
Well,
I've been watching the legislative process, to see what they're doing to us. So I keep monitoring that. Another couple of things. One is, and this isn't legislative from a bill standpoint, but the Senate has, the committee declined to endorse the governor's, one of the governor's recommended commissioners on the Board of Tax Appeals, Marks, and it's all about the argument with regard to the dark store issue. And supposedly they're concerned that he might make legislation from the bench at voted. So it'll be interesting to see what the full Senate would. I don't think the full Senate had voted on that confirmation yet, but the committee submitted it to the full Senate without recommendation. So, and the dark store issue is one of the legislative agendas for KAC, opposing that type of appraisal. The other is back to something Robert was talking about on the monies coming to the county and the city. We heard it from Jeff this morning. I think as we think about what those projects might look like, whether it's childcare or whatever, that we cannot leave out Holcomb because they're not included in that distribution of funds. And so if they have a particular need that fits that criteria, I think we as a county have some, I don't know its obligation, but have some responsibility, moral responsibility to try to help them with that as well as other things within the county. So I think we need to keep that in mind as well. And that's all and then I was supposed to have a what do you call it, workforce board meeting, but they canceled our part of it. They kept the other part, but the CEO part of it was canceled due to some conflicts and illnesses. It was the rationale given, but that was supposed to be last Friday, so the next one's not scheduled till June.
okay, I don't have much report. I do know want to respond to a point that is brought up by Bill's asking for a different sign or some indication of what's going on at the fairgrounds. Back when we went through all of the work to get a library sign, one of the obstacles that you find in the city ordinance is that a sign cannot be on property other than what it's advertising, meaning that to put up an electronic billboard down there where you'd like to have a sign, the county needs to own that piece of property. I don't know who owns the former Helen Batchelder wine store, but I think that's maybe who you're talking about, that the senator. It'd be nice if we could buy, borrow, or rent a little wedge of land enough to put an electronic billboard out there, and then by computer where you can change the message on it. That one at the library I've never heard a negative comment about it. It's all been positive. So that might be money well spent. Let them know what's taking place. My meetings, we had a couple of spark meetings on Thursday, have one more to go, and then I think we're probably through with Jeff and Julianne for a while anyway, until we see what rolls out under the new federal appropriation. The sad fact is I'm getting so old, I've written myself a note here and I can't read it. I can't understand it. Cities and county something. Don't know what that is. But anyway, as we close, I want to thank you, Linda. I hope this has been not too boring for you today. And we'll look forward to working with you and for your support. So, anything else that comes for the good of the order before we break? Because I see our meals here, but Kevin is holding up his hand.
Did you sign the management plan on the back side?
Didn't sign it on the back?
Yeah, there's a page on the back that we need to sign.
There's an extra fee for that, you know, for the...
That one got signed?
The eradication program did, or the annual report got signed, but this one didn't. This is my copy. I didn't know if you had.
Yeah, they were here. We'll find them.
Okay. I just want to make sure we got it signed before you're good.
So we're good to go or not good?
Yeah, well, the motion's all been done, it's just the actual signing.
Okay. Who all needs to sign it?
At least 3 commissioners.
Well, I had all of them, so you guys
Yeah.
signed both.
I thought we did.
Well,
I thought we signed
We'll
both.
find them and get it to you.
Okay.
Because one of them had 3 lines and one of them had 5 lines.
I have their,
You
these
can
2.
go ahead and adjourn.
Okay, what happened to
For the
Kelly?
eradication.
She just-
Nope, I have that too.
Okay. And that's the only one you handed me.
And where are all of our guests?
Are you sure?
Was that what they supposed to be?
That's why I was asking.
Well, until
They
April
signed
5th.
Yeah, we signed both. I signed
We'll
both.
stand adjourned.
Because they
Well, there
had,
was 2 copies of that you signed.
yeah, but there was one
And
that
then there
had
was
3
2
lines
copies of
and
that.
then 2 of the commissioners.